Good morning. Welcome to our Wednesday morning class. I want to welcome you that are here in person. Thank you. What a powerful 10 o'clock meeting we had today. Spirit even spoke to us in the spirit of tongues and spoke the mystery of God, spirit to spirit today. It was so powerful. So we're jacked up and ready to go. We've exercised, we've danced, we have done a lot. So we're ready to go. Hope you are. All right, we are in a series of lessons based on the wonderful work of HeartMath Institute. And the quote that I have for you this morning is from one of the main founders, Doc Childry, who says, when we react to life from the head without joining forces with the heart, it can lead us into childish and arrogant behavior that we don't respect in ourselves. Inelegant behavior that we don't respect in ourselves. So we are finding that one of the great keys of living from the higher, what we call the higher aspect of ourselves, is this connection between the heart and the brain-mind. And I'm going to try to make that clear when I use mind and when I'm using brain-mind. The brain does hold some mind, but it's a limited amount of the mind because all physical aspects of ourself are limitations of the infinite. Mind is infinite. Brain is finite and limited. We have about 100 billion cells, brain cells. So even though that's a lot, it's not the infinite intelligence that the heart can give the brain. So welcome to our week 3, which is accessing heart intelligence. Just a quick review. In 1, we learned heart focus and heart-focused breathing. And how many of you here have been using your heart-focused breathing? I've used it several times. It's according to what kind of day you have, but on certain days you just use it more times. And I really think it's making a difference with people from what I'm hearing, to take that little bit of time out from the mental calisthenics of the brain and to rest and to go into the heart through the power of breathing. In week 2, we learned resilience. And if you remember, the definition is the capacity to prepare for, recover from, and adapt into the face of stress, challenge, or adversity. I want to stress the word capacity. Capacity to prepare. That means that you have to be a part of that process. It's not going to just happen to you, it's going to happen with you. To prepare for, recover from, and adapt in the face of stress. And we learned the coherence breath, what it added to the heart focused was the ability for feeling. The brain thinks. And the thing about the brain, let me give you a little exercise to show you. Everybody, just for a moment, with your eyes closed or however you want to do it, but just imagine a rose, a beautiful yellow rose. I like yellow roses. So just imagine a yellow rose in your vision. Everybody got it? Mm-hmm. And you that are joining us, we want you to join with us in this exercise. Now here's the question I have. Are you seeing a yellow rose, or are you just thinking you see a yellow rose? That's the question. Okay, you can return back. There's a difference in what we think we see and what we actually see. Now, if you're going to move into energy work, for instance, it's the one I know the most, but you don't want the brain to think of something. You want to actually experience the something. Intuition. That's what intuition is. Intuition is actually seeing something. And we call that psychic power. I'm a little leery of the word psychic because I have my twist on it, but I do believe in a true psychic level of spirit that is a little higher than the psychic of the lower self. But if you are actually being intuitive, you actually may see something. For instance, I can visualize my living room. And I'm not just thinking, I see my living room. I see my living room as it is. Now, if you've never been to my house, the question is, can you tap in and see what's in my living room? Or you might think you're seeing what's in my living room. I hope you get what I'm saying. There's a difference in what we think is happening and what is happening. And to do work with people on an energetic level, you want to be able to actually have an experience with seeing or feeling something that is emerging from the purpose, not what you think is happening. So all of these exercises are going to help you with a more clarity and knowingness than just thinking maybe I'm right or thinking I said it right, but a knowing that is manifesting through you. So resilience just merely means this for us. Let's say that you have an issue with anger. Maybe that's just in your personality that you tend, if you get your button pushed, it usually shows up as anger. Now, it could be many other things. I'm just using that. But we all have something that I think we more lean toward of how that we express ourselves. I'm not a person that gets really angry. I might get more sad. I may be more of a pouter and just pout or something like that than get angry. Anger is just not one of my basic things, although the last few years I've been pushed to experience a little more anger than I want to have. But what that means is that doing these exercises may not take away all your anger, but it makes you more resilient to anger, and you may recover faster. Whereas you may be held angry for 3 days, you might only have the anger for 2 days or a day and a half. And if you keep doing your breathing and you keep exercising the heart focused and the resilient breathing, it means it becomes lesser and lesser and lesser. You recover faster. And people say to you, you used to be mad a lot longer. Or you used to be angry a lot longer than you used to be. And maybe you'll notice that, but mostly other people will let you know, because they're the ones that's gauging you more than you gauge yourself sometimes in those kind of things. Every emotion you experience, whether or not you're aware of it, has an effect on your body and on your resilience. Another powerful point of living and exercising the resilience technique that's going to really help is to not hold the emotion long enough that it registers into the cell. In other words, we're all going to have thoughts and emotions and feelings that's going to just pass through that we're not going to hang on to. But the ones we tend to hang on to the longest are the ones that end up as an imprint into cellular memory or muscle memory. So resilience will help less and less of that to show up in your physical and mental being. That makes sense to you? So I hope you understand what I'm saying. It doesn't mean that you should feel bad because something makes you angry or you have a response to something. You may still have those responses because a part of you is human, right? And human have responses. And until our human is no longer human any longer, and there's no hue in us, and we've been raised to this new cellular creation that we want to return to, we're going to react humanly. But we don't have to hold it. We can be more resilient to it. Now, my challenge is what's going on in the world today. There's just some things that really push every button I have. And I get really upset or I get angry. And if I dwell on that for days and days and days, I'll tell you, it's going to probably show up somewhere in my mental, physical self. I'm going to find myself depressed, anxiety, not sleeping well, fear, and all that stuff's going to start showing up. Now, if it gets that far, you want to be resilient at that level so it doesn't get into the cellular replication of your body, and that will keep disease and illness from getting into the body and showing up and manifesting. Does that make sense to you? So wherever things land, there's always a way to be resilient so it doesn't go any further until it becomes the illness and diseases that we have to deal with. So resilience is really so powerful. Coherence is a key to building resilience. Okay? Coherence is a state of optimal functioning in which your physical systems are in sync and balanced with your heart. Your heart, your mind, emotions, and your nervous, hormonal, and immune systems are working in a cooperative manner, in a coordinate manner, okay? And that's what the breathing does. It helps to align all these things to work together and to work in cooperation. If you don't, you'll find parts of yourself working more competitively. Okay? So week 2, we learned the quick coherence, which was focusing your attention on the area of the heart. Imagine your breath passing in and out through your heart center of your chest slowly, and exhale. Breathe in an attitude of calm and balance. So as we move from just heart-focused breathing, we added a feeling of gratitude or compassion. And the way that you want to do that is to go back and remember what that feeling was like when a certain thing happened. When somebody showed you love and how that felt to you. Or maybe you were in nature somewhere and you had this wonderful experience and you felt the peace and the oneness with nature. We all have those kind of memories also. And that attaches us to a more spiritual, calm, and balanced part of ourselves. So we can also breathe in a feeling of gratitude or compassion or whatever feeling you find most soothing. Your head or your heart. If focused to choose, would those who know you say you're a person of the head or the heart? So just consider that. So your companion, your family, the people that you are around, how would they answer that about you? Do they find you constantly mental, always analyzing, figuring out? Are you of the heart in great acceptance for the events of your life and very resilient to not fall into the trappings of ego that can end up with arguments and debates and all that kind of thing? So think about when you're with the family and you're with friends that are not walking this particular path that you are, how are you reacting, for a better word, to situations that could draw you into being debative or angry or I'm right, you're wrong kind of stuff, which I see it here. I see it with myself. It's just so subtle how that we can be sucked into those situations in which we become defensive. The heart is never defensive, but the brain is totally defensive without the heart. Because, and what it has to defend and guard is its belief systems. Because when the head has a belief system, it's never sure if it's really true or not. It just believes it's true. Remember? Like I said, did the brain see a yellow rose, or does it think it's seeing a yellow rose? And the brain will do the same thing. You have to watch it because it downloads belief systems outside of itself. So the source of what lands up in the brain and the brain cells and how synapses will pattern themselves are 99% in most people from the outside. What religion has taught them, what society, culture has taught them, what they've learned in education, what they continue to learn by reading books and listening to things. We're constantly bringing in outside data, right? Now, I believe that some of us that I'm speaking to, if not all of us, or you wouldn't be here and connected to this, is because more of what's being put in the brain now is coming from within us. It's our own experiences with divine thought penetrating into human thought. What we call these epiphany moments. And let me again, I want this clear to you. What is an epiphany? Somebody want to tell me that? I'll ask you. What is a true epiphany experience?
A moment of great knowing.
Sorry?
A moment of great knowing.
Ooh, oh, that's good. Tell me a little bit more about that great knowing. What does that mean? Yes, Barbara.
It's a thought that comes into your mind, but you stop and think, wow, where'd that come from?
Bingo. It is a thought that comes into the human brain, and you go, oh, I would have never thought of that. In other words, it was not a part of how your brain is wired to think on a linear basis. But it is like an intervention of a thought that shows up and penetrates into the human thought. Now, the more that happens, the more the human thought goes and the synapses is replaced with a divine thought. And the more that happens, the more that your brain is used for inner heartfelt experiences. Okay? So that's what we're doing. Our best is to be more sensitive to allowing more inner intelligence show up in the brain. And that is through the heart. The heart gives the brain divine thought, replacing human thought. And the more that that happens, the more spiritual we are as divine thought or mind. And again, my favorite scripture, I used it this morning. This is my morning affirmation. Let this same mind be in me that was in Christ, who thought it not robbery to be equal with God. Yes. That's one of my favorite mantras. Philippians, I believe, the 2nd chapter. Let, and I want you to hear this, let. It doesn't mean you don't have it and you got to go get it. It means it's in there and you let it or allow it to show up. And I'm telling you, the nature of anything that is divine or spiritual is not aggressive. It does not take over without an invitation. You have to invite it, let it, allow it. So you might want to use that too. Let this same mind that was in Christ also be in me. Who thought? What the first divine thought was ever thought was, I do not find it robbery to be equal with God, which is blasphemous to religious belief in the head. You just try that on some of your religious family and friends, that you do not find it robbery to be equal with God. They will have a fit. They'll try to save you right there on the spot. And give them that scripture. So let it, allow it to be. So are you more a head person? Or do you, in an event of your life, do you kind of get this first this feeling. Okay, let's say you're going to buy a house, you're going to buy a car, you're going to make a decision about a new job or a relationship, something like that, some big event of your life. And I'll guarantee you, if you will kind of remember that experience in the beginning, you probably had an inner feeling about it. We call it a gut feeling, but you kind of knew. I've done things that I knew this was the wrong choice. It's just the wrong choice. Because I took the feeling and handed it to him, my husband, my brain. She gives it to him because he's her head. See, we're back to that whole analogy of the Bible. The man is the head of the woman. The woman should keep silent, and if she wants to know anything, go ask her husband. That's what it says. Do you realize how many women have suffered that for 2,000 years because it was written in that book? And still going on in the world, in religions that believe in the submission of the woman over the man, in some cases to the extreme that women are punished for adultery and a man is not. It's always the woman that's in the man never commits adultery, only the woman commits adultery.
Even if she's raped.
And she loses her hand, her arm, because just craziness of religion as far as I'm concerned. So we have a lot of healing there to do of the repression of the feminine in culture and in society. And I just assume you don't have that in you, I hope, not at this level of consciousness where you feel that you must just submit everything to some man, ladies. And I will say to all of us, to our head and our brain, learn to listen to that first impulse that comes out of the heart and hold it. Hold it long enough until you have a knowing about it. Rather than say, okay, brain, do we believe this? And the brain goes, no, I've been through the whole belief system. I don't think we believe this. It's not in the belief system. So it goes reject, reject, reject. And the next thing is you're reacting out of your head and the heart has lost. And the next thing you know, you're wasting your energy on all these little detours off your path. I mean, you can always come back to the path, but how much time was wasted going on some detour, even though you learned a lesson? We don't always have to learn lessons if we stay aligned with our path. And the heart holds the blueprint of our path. It holds the part of our soul where the plan is, where the contracts are all in the heart area. Would they describe you as a person who makes decisions based on rational and analytical consideration of the issues involved, or someone who tends to be more intuitive and instinctive? Head and heart both play an important role, and I don't mean to be so rough on the head, because it's an important part, just as the man is very important in starting physical life. Right, we can't deny the fact that the man holds that which starts and is a part of the conception for physical life. And so does the brain play its part when it's working with the heart. Heart may have its own unique way of thinking and feeling that is no less important than the brain's way of dealing with the world. I just kind of said that, but that's good. Head, potential for logical brilliance. Heart, less stress, more loving life. A brain unchecked by its heart can enter into a lethal alliance with its body. So you have to realize what is influencing your body. The head, heart, or the head and the heart. This is called awakening to sensitivity. And awaken the brain to its partner that thinks in a different way. So the brain thinks completely in a different way than the intelligence of the heart. Proverbs 20:5, this comes up throughout this class quite often, which is interesting that it comes up through heart math. A plan in the heart of man is like water in a deep well, but a man of understanding draws it out. A plan in the heart. See, that's where your plan is. What is the plan of my life? What is the plan for today? What is the plan for this week? What is the plan for 2021 for you and on? You're not going to find it by overanalyzing it, by using the head only, but only in the fact that the heart holds the plan. But it is up to you to draw it out of the deep waters of understanding. Word, when it is the expressed heart, and that thought becomes a different kind of flesh. In other words, the brain is your source of making thought become flesh, is a different flesh that is inferior to the flesh that the heart can create. Two plans. The plan in the brain, again, is temporal and finite. That's why the bodies that we have made so far only live and die. Birth, death. As so far, there's hardly been any physical bodies. Maybe some, but on the average, there has not been physical bodies who has been able to overcome death, physical death. I think I use Jesus as my pattern for that death could not hold his physical body into its clutches. But out of the clutches of death came resurrection. Because before he went into the death experience, he had changed the vibratory frequency of the cells of his body. That was his whole 30-some years of experiences that he went through. Again, that they don't want you to know about in those 18 years missing, when he was over in India and all those places and gathering all these wonderful indigenous techniques and abilities to know how to change his body to the level of his heart. The statue of Jesus out there, what do you notice the most? His heart. You that are from Catholic churches, you know it's the heart of Jesus that you see so often, because the heart held a different blueprint for a physical body than the head did. I'll say it again. The thought becomes flesh. That's what it says. And the word became flesh, which is a thought. Thought becomes flesh. If it's only the brain and what's the beliefs in the brain that is making your body constantly, because your body's being made all the time. One of the great illusions is my body is 75 years old. This body has made itself over every 7 years for 75 years. So how many bodies is that, you good mathematicians?
10 3/4.
How many?
10 3/4.
How many?
How many?
10 3/4.
Ooh, so I've had 10 3/4 bodies.
You got 2 years till you're 11.
Thank you. That's not necessary. So if your body is remaking itself every 7 years, think about it. That's how many bodies that you have had in this lifetime. And in this lifetime, God gave you grace between how to make a new body, to raise your vibratory frequency, to make a higher frequency body. But the fact we've not been taught how to change the blueprint and shift from the blueprint of the brain to the heart, we've continued to make the same body that keeps chipping off the telomeres, that ages us and brings us into degeneration every time a new body is made. Every 6 weeks a new liver is made, and it's read the old blueprint in the brain and chips off more telomeres that ages it. But if we start reading the new blueprint of the heart, we will reverse it, and instead of degeneration, we'll go toward regeneration. That, and you say, oh, it just can't be. That's just not going to happen. Where's your faith? And don't be saying things like God is the field of all possibility, or all things are possible to him that believeth. Don't even say those things if you can't find the faith of it in your heart to know that all things are possible. We can reverse disease. We can reverse age. We can reverse things. And this lesson is going to help us to find a new blueprint in our heart. So, man, I get into all this stuff. I want to say this about Jesus, though. Jesus had done this while he was here. In those 33 years he was here, he was able to attain raising his body to a level. And this is what's cool. When he came out of the resurrection, for about 50 days, he remained in his resurrected body on the earth. And he walked among his disciples and people who knew him. They had seen him. They knew him. And it said when they were walking down the road of Emmaus and talking about him, he joined them and they did not know him. I love that. So here's their good buddy Jesus that they had just seen, walking with them. They're talking about him and he's there. Oh my gosh, how many things do we talk about that's right here? Somebody help me now. He was there, and it said they did not know him. Why? Because he had so raised his physical body to a different vibration that they weren't on. They could not match the body that he walked in. Not today. Not today. Keep me grounded here for just a minute. Oh, I had to put that in because that is just amazing to me. So, wow. Okay. So, the word express heart, thought becomes flesh. I call it splash. I married spirit with flesh. And I want a body of splash. I don't want a body that my ancestral DNA makes me to become all the time. I want a body made out of God's spiritual DNA until my body is made of spirit becoming flesh. The discovery of the little brain in the heart now gives us new meaning to this phrase and the role it plays in our life. Boy, does it. Does it. It doesn't use the slow filters of past experience to make its decisions. See, everything that you ask the brain has to go back and check out, is there anything from the past that's been downloaded, or I don't know how to deal with this question. So you're asking your brain, okay, should I buy this house? And the brain goes back into the memory, and you get all of the data from the past about what you like and think you like about a house and whatever, and you make a decision. If you go to the heart and ask the heart that, the heart may say, one, you shouldn't buy any house right now, it's the wrong time. Or no, in 6 months you're not going to care for this house. You're going to feel that it's not a match for you any longer. And the big one is about that commitment into a relationship with somebody. The worst that you can do is let your brain lead you into an intimate relationship. That's the one you wake up not long afterwards and wonder, what have I done? Because the brain will always connect with the lower chakras, and you will start thinking you love somebody based on attraction of how they look and what you think they are, and you have no idea who they are. The heart does. The heart reads a different. It reads the story of the person, the real story of the person, not the one that they say they are in appearance. So the heart accesses what's true for us in the moment. So it's not based on past. It's based on in the moment, the heart knows. And when I read this, I couldn't help but to think, we shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. And I want to tell you about this word moment. It's a great word. It's from the Greek, atomos. A-T-M-O-S, atomos. Now you say, I don't know what that means. I don't know Greek. Well, what you do know is the word we get from that word in English, which is atom. I went to a Greek Orthodox church to check this out and make sure that the Greek word for moment was atomos, which is the word atom. So this says that in this moment you shall be changed in the atoms of your body. Rather than thinking through a list of pros and cons, you ever do that? Let's make a list. Here's the pros and here's the cons. Both right and left side of the brain. Heart's not even in it. Pros and cons. Heart is not pros and cons. The heart always gives you the spiritual answer. It doesn't give you the right or the wrong answer. It gives you the spiritual answer. And sometimes the brain fights against that because it'll say, I'm not sure that's the right one. But while it is the spiritual one. And you can't go wrong following the spiritual path. So the heart is not a list of pros and cons or weighing out the probability that an experience of the past will repeat itself in the present. Our heart intelligence knows instantly what's true for us in the moment. Again, that is that initial feeling that you get about a situation. But if you give that feeling over to a detached brain, now if you've done the work to bring the brain and the heart together, that's fine, because the brain will give you the thought that will be one with the feeling of the heart. They'll work together. But if you're just trying to ask a brain that is still disconnected to the heart, it's going to give you a different data than what the heart is going to do. Here's important. Brain prays for. We still have to fine-tune prayer here. We're not through. We're not there yet. We're getting there. We're on the right road. The brain prays for, the heart prays what? So I was reading several years ago Greg Braden's story called Pray Rain, and he was telling a situation in which there was a drought in the southwest part of the United States, New Mexico. They needed rain very badly. So he met with a very well-known spiritual guru type person that was known for its spiritual teachings. And they met at a place and had coffee or whatever. And they decided to do something about this drought. So they went out into the desert. The desert was parched and cracked and it was very dry. And Braden was in his car on the phone or something, and the guy gets out and just goes by himself out there and stands for just a little bit of time, a couple of minutes, I don't know how long it was. And before Greg could even go join him to pray for this rain, he come back and got in the car. And Greg was kind of disappointed, like, okay, I thought we was going to get out there and join in and we was going to pray for this rain to happen. And the guy said, well, it's done. I didn't pray for rain. I prayed rain. And within 24 hours, they had a downpour of rain into there because he didn't pray for it like it didn't happen. He prayed it into manifestation that exists in the higher levels of the ether of consciousness. So the brain prays for things because the brain believes it doesn't have it, and we need to get it. But the heart says you already have it. Pray it. Cardio contemplation means to ponder with our heart about our connection with and meaning of our world. Being in a state that allows one to better extract information from the heart. Being more sensitive to the energy of life as us rather than me. Brain is a me. Heart is always us, or we. So, let's go into our new prayer that we're going to basically learn today. So, with these ideas that we've covered today in mind, let's apply the steps to coherence from the previous section to access your heart's intelligence. I recommend doing so in a place where it is safe to close your eyes and direct your attention inward. And we do declare this sacred space. You are safe. You wouldn't want to try this exercise while you're driving or doing anything that requires your full undivided attention. The following steps will lead you directly to your heart's deepest knowing of intelligence. The steps for accessing your heart intelligence are as follows. First, step 1, focus your heart. Attention, our action. Allow your awareness to move from your head to the area of your heart. The result of doing this sends a signal to your heart that a shift has taken place. You are no longer engaged in the world around you and are now becoming aware of the world within you, the kingdom of God within. Our next step is to slow your breathing. Begin to breathe a little more slowly than usual, allowing 5 to 6 seconds for your inhale and exhale. Breathe in your heart, exhale to 5. Exhale, 5. The breath should be raising your chest when you breathe in, and the chest lowers as you exhale. The result of this is the simple step towards a second signal to your body that you're safe and in a place that supports your process. Deep, slow breathing has long been known to stimulate a relaxation response of the nervous system and take you out of the parasympathetic response of fight or flight. Our next step, to the best of your ability, feel a genuine sense of caring, appreciation, gratitude, or compassion for anything or anyone. An event or a person that has made you feel compassion, a gratitude, and breathe into that feeling, holding it in your heart. Next, ask your heart intelligence a question. What are you seeking in your life at this time that you would like an answer or direction toward? And I'll give you a few seconds to land somewhere in something that you want to clarify. Now, the previous 3 steps create the harmony between your brain and your heart that enables you to tap into your heart's wisdom. As you continue to breathe and hold the focus of your heart, this would be the time to ask the question. Now, how does this work? Heart intelligence generally works best when the questions are brief and to the point. Remember, your heart doesn't need a preface or a history of a situation before the question. Ask your question silently in a single, concise sentence, and then allow your heart's wisdom to respond in a way that works for you. Allow. Don't overthink it. Don't overallow. Allow. I'm often asked to interpret the symbols that show up in people's dreams or in the meaning of an experience that they've had in their lives. While it is possible for me to offer an opinion, it's just that. It's my sense of what the image or experience may mean in their lives. The truth is that I can't possibly know what others' dreams or experience means for them. It's only true that they can. I cannot fully know for you, but you can know for yourself. The key is this. If you are empowered enough to have the experience, then you're empowered to know for yourself what the experience means. These are example formats only. You can choose one that fits for you or create your own using any of them as a template. From the place of my heart's deepest knowing, I ask to be shown the significance of blank in my vision, person, place, or thing. I ask to be shown the significance of this person, place, or thing I'm addressing. And from the single eye of my heart that knows only my truth, I ask for the meaning of that person, place, or thing that I saw in my vision. Why is this person in my life? Why have we been attracted? Why have I attracted this particular event or situation into my life? What is the significance of it? Heart, give me your wisdom and tell me, so that I may be empowered with faith and vision. Listen. Become aware of how your body feels immediately as you ask the question. Make a note of any sensation such as warmth, tingling, ringing in your ears, emotions that may arise. Everyone learns and experiences this uniquely. There really is no correct or incorrect way of receiving your heart's wisdom. The key here is to know that it works. The result of all of this is for those who already are attuned to their bodies and their heart's intelligence. These steps are the easiest part and way of the process. For those who may have less experience in listening to their bodies and to their hearts, it is an experience in awareness. And I speak for myself here to say that my heart's wisdom has led me many times to make very important choices that have moved me along my path and has collapsed time frames. Other times I have listened much to the voice in my head and have lost a lot of time on my path. I've done both. We've all done both. Now it is time that it's neither or either, it's both. Divine Holy Spirit, we thank you for this time together, and we ask for your presence to be the link between our head and our heart, between knowledge and wisdom, the intellect and the guidance and knowing systems to be connected. We ask from today's lesson and all the lessons we've been through and will go through that we become more tuned to the higher mind of guidance and clarity and intuition. Even this day, we will experience something differently than we would have by bringing the heart's wisdom with the intellect and knowledge of our brain mind. Be they joined together as a co-equal, co-creative couple. As they create together their expressions and manifestations that will give us an upgrade of life as we know it. Less angry, less grieving, less depressed, less anxious. But we call upon resilience of the heart to bring us back to the center of our heart quicker and easier through heart-focused, coherent breathing. Make us more resilient beings. All right, you may return back into the space. We have about 5 minutes if you'd like to. I'd like to open it up for any responses or questions or whatever you may have to contribute to today. Don't be shy. You're in a safe space. Yes, sir.
I have a question. You were saying of, I think when Jesus had rose his frequency and sort of they couldn't recognize who he was. Is that something similar to this whole shape-shifting thing that people are talking about? Is that when people?
It can be.
Okay.
Of course, I can work it both ways.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what
if you're
I've heard
coming,
it.
Lord, don't leave me
Well,
there.
you know,
But there are people that come from the RX factor of the brain, which is the reptilian part of the brain,
Oh, yeah.
that can do shape-shifting that is not for the good. But
Okay.
those who are coming from the higher spiritual part of the brain, yes, you can learn to shift in some way. Yeah, interesting question. Thank you. That's all we need. Anybody else? Yes, Maggie.
I asked what I can do next as far as what I need to do at the mountain home, and I was actually there.
To what?
I asked what I can do next.
Yes.
What I should
Your
do next
mountain
out
home, yeah.
there. And I was actually there.
Ah, why not? Did you get an answer of some kind for you?
Right.
Anybody else have any experience with that? Come on, speak up. Yes, Rhonda?
I had something in my space coming here, and I couldn't get it. I couldn't recognize it. But I got a real warm, in a very specific area up the back of my head, like warmer than body temperature, warmer than a sweater on, something like that, but I still couldn't get that. So I'm hoping I can go back and listen to this
Well,
again.
that's why all these things have to be practiced. It's practice. You can't just do it. It's not an event of doing it one time and get what you're doing. You're going to get the result of it as you practice it, and it will define itself more and more as you open up. Beth?
What I got basically was nothing.
And that's an answer
But-
too.
But I got a very calm, peaceful feeling, and then nothing said to me, that's what you're supposed to do right now.
I'm telling you, that is an answer in itself. And when the heart says nothing, it means wrong. Don't do anything. Stay, wait. Guidance is coming. The timing is off somewhere. So a lot of times when you don't get an answer, that's the answer.
Right.
Yeah. Confucius said that. If there's something you don't know, say, I don't know it. Yes.
This was a great lesson for me. Yesterday I took a Tai Chi lesson, and it's really a lot of learning there, and I have to commit, and I need to do it for where I'm at in my body and everything.
Mhm.
And this was really a great lesson for me.
Good.
right here.
Glad for that. Somebody else have their hand up? Talk to me, folks. Come on. At least I get that. I talk.
I was like Beth, I kept waiting for something to come to me and nothing did, and so I must be where I'm supposed to be with this particular thing.
Okay, that's an answer. Be still and know. is an answer. Michael, talk to me.
It was about the same for me. Just didn't get anything. I went, where do I go from here?
Mm-hmm. I think you've gone there. A couple of months or so ago, you might have been asking, before this job showed up and all that. But things have shown up in your life that I think, from talking to you, you feel pretty centered to be where you are, and it's a good thing for you doing that. Well, good. Well, I think this speaks well of us, that we are doing the work and in this community and are more centered and have more understanding of spiritual things. And this is why I think it's important that you share some of this maybe with other friends and people that's open, and teach them a little bit that are really seeking directions in their life that's having a hard and difficult time for that. All right, well, thank you so much for coming. Remember that Sunday's a special day. This is a special guest Sunday, which we've hardly ever had, with Lawrence. I've known Lawrence from Unity of Charlotte for years back, and I've always been impressed with him, so I've asked him to come and speak this Sunday to kind of help me, because we are starting tomorrow a 4-day run of workshops of people that's coming from all over the country to learn our method, our techniques. So he's also a singer, and he's going to be a blessing. So I hope that you will definitely come and support Sunday with us. He's going to be a great Sunday.
Are you going to be here?
Oh yeah, sure. Oh yeah, I'll be right here. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah, he is good.
It's my time to receive. So invite somebody. Maybe it's time that every one of you, that's a good one to do with who can I connect to that I could ask to come and join me as a guest at HeartLight. Every one of you know people, and maybe some of those people are more ready than you think or feel. That might be time to ask them, or somebody you haven't seen for a long time that's already a part of New Thought, that you might want to just reach out. But go find out if your heart would guide and lead you, and who. Ask who would you have me to go to, and bring them either into my attention or vice versa. Put me in their way in some way that we connect. It's quite interesting. All right, have a blessed day and blessed rest of the week, and we'll see everybody Sunday. Thank you for your support, and those if you're still with us online, we thank you for your support also for keeping this class. And it is important that you continue to support it. I don't want to ever have to go into charging for this Wednesday class, because you've been so good to do it on your own, and that shows the maturity of this community to be able to step up and do this on your own. And again, when it comes to your offerings and giving, heart, what is the heart telling you to give? Right? And your head will go, but I want to do this, and but I need to pay that. But bring them together, and you can really stay in alignment about your giving process. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Gee, I got 3 claps.
Oh.
Wow. That's all right.